desirable to be a monoculture? This is something Pauline Hanson advocated in her recent press club address. She talked about we might be multiracial as a country, but we should not be multicultural. We should be a monoculture. That is, everyone who comes here should speak English and should learn to live in the Australian kind of way, whatever that means. At other times, Pauline Hanson has talked about Australia being a Judeo-Christian country. Even though this is not true, the original people to this lands were not Judeo-Christian, she seems to imply that to be Australian means you have to live according to a certain Western way of being. So what does the Judeo-Christian tradition, if that is even one tradition, say about monoculture and multiculturalism? The first thing to say is that the Bible is full of references to treating the stranger in your midst as your kin. That is the refugee, the captive of war, whoever it is in your land, you are to treat them in the same way you would treat your own family. That is a biblical imperative. We can also find some fascinating passages in the New Testament about multiculturalism. One of the first miracles in the book of Acts, and one that Christians point to as a kind of story of the birth of the church, is a miracle of the apostles being given the ability to speak in different languages. And that way, even though there were people in Jerusalem gathered from all over the world speaking all sorts of different languages, they could all communicate. The fascinating thing here is that the gift was multilingual. It was not a gift of everyone speaking one language to eradicate difference. It was about being able to communicate with differences. The other big vision at the end of the Bible we find in Revelation 21. And here it imagines a future place where all of God's people will gather in a new Jerusalem. And explicitly the text says that this city-state, the New Jerusalem, is full of people from every nation, every tribe, and every language, and that they will live in harmony together. So there's no place in the Bible that advocates for a monoculture. And in fact, if we are Westerners and we're reading the Bible and thinking this is where we get our values from, we're already reading a book that was written by and created in a vastly different culture to our own. We are engaging in intercultural work. I'd love to hear what you thought of Hanson's speech and what you think about multiculturalism, because I think it makes Australia a wonderful place to live. If you're interested in learning more about the Wesley Centre and the way we bring theology to contemporary issues, like, follow, and find our website for more information.